What's up, guys? Welcome back to Uncut Hoops, and we're a solid week into the NBA season, and we've seen a lot of players like Kyrie Irving get off to really fast starts. Now, contrary to that, we've seen a lot of players like Mike Conley get off to really bad starts. Now, Mike Conley kind of inspired me to make this video because he played so bad versus the Jazz and the Lakers, shooting 1 for 16 and like 4 for 12 the next game. And it got me thinking about NBA legends and their worst moments. And in this video, I'm just going to walk you through a couple of NBA legends' worst down moments and basically how they responded and overcame adversity. So I hope you guys like the video. So the first NBA legend I want to focus on is Michael Jordan. And as many of you may know, Michael Jordan is one of the most clutch players in NBA history, but even he does have his down moments. And his biggest down moment came in the 1995 playoffs versus the Orlando Magic in the second round. And in this game 1, Michael Jordan had 19 points and 8 for 22 shooting, but that kind of is besides the point. In the closing seconds of this game, Michael Jordan was dribbling the ball up court, and he allowed the ball to get stolen by Nick Anderson, and this basically sealed the game for the Orlando Magic, giving them a Game 1 victory. And the Magic would go on to win this series in 6 games, and the Bulls would be eliminated from the playoffs. And that prompted Nick Anderson to say, quote, "Number 45 is not number 23. I couldn't have done that to number 23. And as many of you may know, Michael Jordan does not forget trash talk or criticism, and the media was widely criticizing him, asking if he could return to his former greatness. And the following season, he would come back with a vengeance, winning their regular season MVP, the scoring title, being elected first-team All-NBA and All-Defense, winning the All-Star Game MVP, playing all 82 games, and leading the Bulls to a 72-10 record. And in the playoffs, he would sweep the Orlando Magic en route to his 4th championship. So I think it's safe to say Michael Jordan definitely responded to criticism and responded to the doubters saying he couldn't win another championship or that he was rusty or old following the incident in the 1995 playoffs. Next up, we have LeBron James, and everyone should know where I'm going with this. The 2011 finals, LeBron James had a historic collapse where he only averaged 17.8 points per game for the series. He was the 3rd leading scorer on his own team, and he was outscored by Jason Terry. Now, LeBron James had 3 straight games of under 18 points. He shot 38% from the field, 9% from 3, and 70% from the line in those games. But if I had to pinpoint LeBron James' worst moment and the lowest he was in that series, it was definitely in Game 4, where he scored 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the line. Now, this is definitely the moment in the game everyone looks to when talking about LeBron not having the killer instinct or not being one of the greatest players of all time. Now, as bad as all that is, I think this quote from Magic Johnson is equally as bad.
What do you expect from LeBron tonight? I want to see him, Stewart, have some fun. Get into his defense, because the key is, can he stop Jason Terry?
So, I mean, after listening to that from Magic and listening to all the things I said about the 2011 finals, you can be wondering, how could LeBron James ever bounce back from this? I'm telling you, he did bounce back the next season. And in that 2012 season, LeBron James would be great in the regular season, winning the MVP, finishing 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and being on both the first-team All-NBA and first-team All-Defense. Now, that's great for a regular season, but doubts still remained. Could LeBron James lead this Heat team to a championship? And in the Eastern Conference Finals, it looked like the doubters were going to be proven right, as the Heat went down 3 games to 2, as Paul Pierce hit a dagger in LeBron's face, and it basically looked like the Miami Heat's run had come to an end. And you even had people like Stephen A. Smith saying the following:
"This is very bad. Very bad."
Now, what happened next is probably LeBron's greatest moment. It's not in NBA Finals. In this game, LeBron went absolutely insane, and he really locked into that killer mode. And you have the famous photo of his eyes and how he was just completely locked in, as he had 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and shot 73% from the field against the Boston Celtics. And this game would help propel the Heat to beat the Celtics in 7 games, and they would go on to beat the Thunder in the championship in only 5 games. Now, this season did really silence a lot of the haters who said LeBron James could not lead the Miami Heat to a championship. So, I mean, after that epic collapse in the 2011 finals, LeBron James did all he could and bounced back in 2012, and he really did everything you could ask him to do, and he led the Miami Heat to a championship, having some great moments along the way. The next player I want to talk about is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and his worst moment comes in the 1984 finals in Game 5 when he was 36 years old. Now, you may know this game is one of the hottest games in NBA history, as it was around 94 degrees in the Boston Garden. And in this game, Kareem had one of his worst games of his career, as he only scored 19 points on 7 of 25 shooting, and the Lakers would lose that Game 5 by 18 points. Now, this led a lot of people in the media to question Kareem, asking if he was too old to dominate or too old to be a critical piece in a championship team. And as many of you may know, the Lakers lost that series eventually to the Celtics in 7 games, And the questions about Kareem's age and just his durability, it would linger into next season and into the NBA Finals as they face the Boston Celtics again in 1985. Now in Game 1, the critics and the detractors looked like they were right in saying that Kareem was too old to dominate, as he only scored 12 points on 6 of 11 shooting, and the Lakers would lose by 34 points. This game was known as the Boston Massacre, and this only fueled the fire for Kareem's critics. But in Games 2 through 6, Kareem would be absolutely amazing, averaging 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, and he would silence all the doubters, leading the Lakers to a championship in 6 games and winning the Finals MVP. So it did take some time for Kareem to bounce back and kind of silence the doubters, but after having 2 of his worst games in the Finals, he definitely did bounce back and win a Finals MVP and silence all the doubters. The next NBA legend I want to talk about is Kobe Bryant, and Kobe's worst moment comes in Game 6 of the 2008 Finals, where the Lakers would lose by a record margin 39 points to the Boston Celtics. Now, if you're familiar with Kobe, the big knock on him from 2005 to 2008 is that he couldn't win without Shaq. And during the 2008 season, it looked like he was finally going to break through as he won his first MVP and led the Lakers to the first seed in the West with 57 wins. So it was kind of disheartening the Lakers lost in the finals of the Celtics, as a lot of people saw that Kobe Bryant was going to break through, but his detractors would be right for the moment that he couldn't win a championship without Shaquille O'Neal. Now that would change in the 2009 season as Kobe Bryant, he would lead the Lakers back to the finals and they would beat Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic. But the question kind of shifted and it became, could Kobe Bryant beat the Boston Celtics? And people kind of saw the Orlando Magic as an inferior team, seeing as Kevin Garnett got injured earlier in the playoffs, and they didn't really feel like Kobe Bryant beat the best team in the Eastern Conference. So heading into the 2010 season, the matchup was seen as being Kobe Bryant, could he beat the Boston Celtics, and they would meet in the NBA Finals, and we would get our answer. Now, in this series, Kobe Bryant was spectacular. He averaged 28 points per game, 8 rebounds and 4 assists, with 2 steals and basically a block a game. That performance plus Kobe's teammates would lead the Lakers to win a championship and go back-to-back. So this kind of did silence all the doubters who said he couldn't win without Shaq and that he couldn't beat the Boston Celtics. So that is how Kobe Bryant overcame his doubters and overcame his one major down moment, as he did lose by 39 points in Game 6 of the 2008 Finals. The last NBA legend I want to talk about is Magic Johnson, and his worst moment comes during the 1984 Finals, where he dribbled the clock out in Game 2 of that series, and he missed crucial free throws and turned the ball over late again in Game 3 of that series. Now this was very un-Magic-like, as he was already a 2-time Finals MVP, and he had had some iconic moments playing center when Kareem was injured, and people really didn't expect Magic to choke under pressure, as they had no reason to believe he would. But in the 84 Finals, Magic would have his worst moments, and he would basically kind of go into a depression in the 85 offseason. He even said he didn't talk to anyone, and he kind of just stayed inside of his house, and he really was depressed. And if you know Magic Johnson or anything about him, he's one of the most exciting people. He's always looking to talk, always smiling. So that was very un-Magic-like. And over the next few seasons, that tragic Magic nickname would kind of follow him. Despite the Lakers winning a championship over Boston in '85, Magic really didn't have his kid signature moment where he redeemed himself. Kareem was the driving force of that championship, as I already mentioned. But in the 1987 Finals, Magic would have his moment as they met against the Boston Celtics again. And in this series, Game 4, Magic would hit a legendary shot, his junior skyhook, as he had a mismatch on Kevin McHale. And this kind of sealed the Lakers' championship as they went up 3-1 over the Boston Celtics. And this kind of dispelled all the narrative that Magic Johnson, he wasn't a clutch player. And it just made a lot of people forget about that. It even had Larry Bird saying,
"He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable."
And there was a reason to believe that, because Magic in that series was absolutely brilliant. He averaged 26 points per game, 13 assists, and 8 rebounds. That's one of the greatest stat lines you'll ever see. And if you watch that series, Magic was in complete control. He was clutch, he was managing the game, and he just had complete control over that series. And I urge you to watch that because it's one of the best final series of all time. So that is the end of the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching all the way through. And just to kind of recap, I covered Michael Jordan in this video, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, and Magic Johnson. And if I forgot anyone or just kind of left out some important details, let me know. I might make a follow-up video with 5 more players who kind of had really down moments and overcame them. And if you want to suggest any players I should cover, let me know in the comments, because it's great to hear feedback and just know what you guys think. And I mean, it really is interesting to see how players, their ups and downs in their career, and just kind of how they handle adversity. And I would say all 5 of these players definitely had their fair share of adversity, and they all overcame their adversity in different ways. So it was kind of fun to just go over that and show you guys that one bad playoff series, or one bad season, doesn't define a whole player's career, and you can bounce back from that. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.